What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican. Hey, you know what? I was watching Guy King, and he put up the video, "Did men win the gender war?" And so I just wanted to make a little quick response to this. It's obviously we haven't won the gender war, but there are some changes that are happening that I think over time put the victory ball, in our court. One would be the advent of these sex robots. This is the craziest thing. It's like turned into a big, massive thing all of a sudden in its popularity. So I think that's very, I wouldn't say it's positive, but it is at the same time. I mean, from an Islamic standpoint, because you guys know I'm Muslim, and so we have different rules on sexuality, including masturbation, which makes it like completely impermissible, but whatever. And, sex dolls would fall under that category of masturbation. Nonetheless, it does significantly tilt the sexual market in the favor of men, which is a massive victory by any stretch of the imagination. Next is just feminism and what it's doing to men, like this effeminization of men. Now, what we're seeing is a clear delineation of men and their types. And there was a brother of color. I can't remember his name. I think it was Senator of Truth. He said he didn't care. He calls himself beta and he doesn't care if people call him beta or whatever else. He's proud to be beta. Okay, that's his choice. I think the default stance of humanity, of men in general, is alpha. I mean, that's our default stance. This goes into r/k selection. Nonetheless, when we take the term beta, we apply it to blue pill and blue pill thinking. In general, when we look at the manosphere and red pill and whatnot, this is the general concept and idea behind beta thinking, that it's blue pill, and blue pill is problematic because it supports gynocentrism and feminism. So when we look at this delineation, feminism and gynocentrism in the West is driving the collapse of the West. And when that collapse comes, it's going to be ugly. Maybe for a short time, maybe for a long time. We don't know. We can only guess. We can only predict what it's going to be. But it will be a reset. And that reset's going to be ugly. And that reset is going to be a victory for men, in the sense of alpha men. And those men who are not alpha will become alpha out of necessity. Or they'll die, they'll starve, or they will, who knows what'll happen. It won't be anything good, that's for sure. Because these resets will be harsh. And we're already seeing this reset take place. We're already seeing aspects of it coming to the surface. With Trump being elected, some of his bills and stuff that he's enacting, the reduction of welfare and all these things, these are going to cause micro collapses on communal levels. And when I talk communal, first and foremost, and I think the first affected community will be the African American one, and the whole baby mama Section 8 thing, and that's going to cause a micro collapse. And then this is just it's going to chain, snowball, because let's face the facts. When it comes down to gynocentrism, feminism, and the failures of society on a whole in the West, it is an unfortunate fact that African Americans are sort of like, we're the forerunners, we're the canaries in the mine. So whatever collapse you see in the African American community, let there be no question that that's going to happen on a greater whole to Western society as a whole. Maybe less so in some cultures, like in some parts and aspects of Europe. The further east you go, the less likely this is going to happen, because the lesser influence of gynocentrism and feminism. Nonetheless, the further west you go, the worse it's going to get. So, long term, they're driving our victory, women of the West. They're pushing us into victory, because a reset, despite the fact that we wouldn't want to see this is going to be a victory for us. because men who know how to handle their business on a most rudimentary level are going to have enough alpha cred, if you don't like to use the term alpha. I don't consider myself alpha or beta. I don't think any man is pure alpha or whatnot. But if you are handling your business even remotely, it's going to put you in a position of sexual selector in a big way, in a collapsed society. Now, as to whether or not on an individual level, as us as men, if we'll live to see it, that's a different issue. But long term, the victory is ours. It always is. Rome, when we look at the history of Rome went through the exact same thing. The women sleeping with the alpha bad boys in terms of the gladiators and, the right to vote and all this stuff. All this stuff has happened before. What happened? It came full circle. When we talk about the egalitarian cycle of turd-flinging monkey, over time, victory is always going to be that of men, because we are, without question and without doubt, always the builders and the maintainers of societies and cultures. And that's going to bring me to another video that I want to talk about. And I'll probably post that today too, because you guys have noticed I've slowed down on content. So I'll probably upload a lot of content back to back on my weekends and whatnot. But I got 5 days off, so I got a few things I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to shoot those out here. Anyway, that's just my take on God King's video. I think when we look at the battles, yeah, we're taking a beating. But when we look at the war, over time, our enemy is wearing themselves out. They're pushing us and driving us into victory. Now, when that victory is going to come, it might take some time. But, victory came to men through the collapse of great societies of the past, and it's going to happen again. It's an undeniable fact that Western society is one of the great societies of our time. In a contemporary sense, and later on when all of this is gone and our ancestors are here and it's been collapsed in a historical sense. So whatever resets, it's going to be built by men. It always is. And the next time, it's upon us as men to make sure, us men now, with this material that we create, to make sure that our progeny, be they actual biologically or just progeny in terms of future men, do not make the same mistakes that we do. That they put a check stop on women, and no matter how ugly it looks. Y'all talk about Saudi Arabia and all these places that are oppressive to women, but we see what happens when you give them free reign. Nothing good. This is your man Abuamerican. Catch me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All at Abuamerican. I'm out.